Welcome to Fleet News Group podcast. I'm Caroline Falls, and today I'm speaking with Noel Ilao, who is Director of the Equipment Bureau at the Philippines Department of Public Works and Highways. We're at the Institute of Public Works Engineering Australasia Fleet Conference in Brisbane. Welcome, Noel.
Hi. A pleasant good afternoon, Caroline.
Firstly, I'd like you to tell us about the Philippines. So, it's an island archipelago with specific challenges. So just tell us about those challenges that present for your fleet's task.
As you would see, the Philippines is composed of more than 7,000 islands. We have three major islands, which is Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Also, on the record, the Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. I think we are number 3. So the country is being visited by different calamities. On the natural side, we have typhoons. We are lying in an earthquake belt, which is the Pacific Ring of Fire. Aside from that, we have challenges in terms of the people intervention that can create problems or destruction on public properties. So the country is facing a lot of challenges naturally and man-made. In terms of moving equipment, moving resources, it's a logistics challenge because you have to move an equipment from one island to another island. And we are doing this by the sea if infrastructures are not present. So those are the challenges that we are facing in terms of the strategy and the management itself, not just of the DPWH equipment fleet, but the whole infrastructure being managed by DPWH. As an addition, as an information, DPWH is the is the engineering arm of the government. So we are in charge of the design and construction of all public facilities, infrastructure in the Philippines.
So I imagine that you've got a lot of barges and a lot of boats in your fleet, as well as road vehicles and bridges.
Before we have barges, we have ships, but there is this moved by the government wherein they right-sized, downsized the number of resources, people, and equipment in DPWH. So what were retained in DPWH are the land-based equipment, which composed of the construction and maintenance equipment, service vehicle, and the most complicated sector of the fleet that we have is what we call the water-based equipment, which are basically dredging equipment.
So how many assets do you have in your fleet?
For the land-based, we're looking at more than 6,200 units all over the country. For the water-based, we're looking at over 330 units of water-based equipment, again, scattered all over the country.
So we're at a fleet conference and the theme is about sort of the 4 dimensions of fleet: technical, technology, people and strategy. So thinking about those pillars, can you talk about your approach, particularly as you are transitioning, I understand, part of your fleet to electric or other alternative power?
Yep. The electric vehicle, the law pertaining to electric vehicle was just passed last April 15, 2022. So the law is still very, very young. But the challenge right now is for the government, the whole government bureaucracy, to transition at least 5% of their existing fleet to electric vehicle. So we're looking at 6 years for the entire bureaucracy to acquire and deploy EVs in the country. So we're looking at a very short timeline to comply with the requirements of the law, which is 5%. So in the case of DPWH, if we have 6,000 units of land-based equipment, that is equivalent to 300 units of combination of service vehicles and land-based equipment. So that would mean a big investment on the part of the government to acquire 300 units and deploy it all over the country. And at the same time, 300 units of the existing 6,000 units would have somehow needed to be disposed.
I'm curious too about your approach to maintenance, as I understand you're recognised for your engineer-based and meticulous approach to maintenance. So how important is a good maintenance program, and what elements make a good one?
I would say that embracing the pillars as a theme of this year's conference, technical, technology, people, and strategy, they are very critical to have a sound maintenance management program. Technical in the sense that you would be building procedures, you would be improving the technical capability of the people to perform the maintenance and even the operations task assigned upon them. In terms of technology, on the part of DPWH, we are now embarking in, as part of our journey to excellence, the adoption of digitalization, wherein we just made one step towards the adoption of artificial intelligence and data visualization, which is very important for us in terms of supporting decisions, in terms of providing the upper management the right information at the right time, the right strategy at the most appropriate time, especially that the task of the equipment organization within DPWH is to provide support and be at the forefront of all disasters that happen and are about to happen in the country. In terms of the people, we have to be abreast, especially with the adoption of electric vehicle, in terms of giving our people the right attitude, the right commitment, the right and appropriate skills, so that once we have the EVs in our fleet, they would be ready, they would be committed and ready to adopt changes along the way. And lastly, strategy. We have to be strategic from the short term to the mid-term to the long term. As part of our vision of the Bureau of Equipment in DPWH, we are targeting by 2040, as part of our maintenance goal, is that we would be a beacon. We would be the leading organization of maintenance management, particularly physical asset management in Southeast Asia, if not in the Philippines. So we're looking at partners. We're looking at organizations who can help us make those visions come true. And one of them is visiting Australia.
You just sort of touched on, the point of collaboration, which we were talking about sort of on the sidelines earlier, and just how important that is for your organisation to find other authorities or organisations to work with. I just wonder if you can tell us, like, one of the organisations you work with, who and why you collaborate. For example, with the US in the Philippines, what do you do with them?
Right now, we're building this collaboration. It started last year with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer, or the USAs. We believe that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer is the number one organization in terms of building our capability towards dredging engineering, since the Bureau of Equipment is the dredging arm of DPWH. We need to be equipped with the right knowledge, with the right technology, with the right strategy, since it is tantamount upon us that we need to properly utilize the resources given to us by the government and deliver those resources for those areas who have been suffering from overflooding, from the decrease in the channel capacity of waterways all over the country. So we need to look for partners to equip us, to better equip us, and to help us strategically deliver the mandate given to us by law. We're not just working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer. Um, the Japanese government is also helping us. They're providing us training and education. They are also providing us equipment to further strengthen the fleet capability of DPWH. And now, as I understand, the Australian government helped the Philippine government as a whole in developing the asset management strategy of the Philippine government. So we adopted the IPWEA's asset management model in implementing asset management program in the Philippines. So there have been a lot of collaboration between the Philippines and a lot of governments, including Australia.
I wonder if you can sort of take us to the Philippines, like onto the ground there to, some, sorry to say it, but like disaster or calamity where you were challenged and, what the task of the fleet was and your department was. And
Yeah, I can give you two examples. If you've heard the biggest typhoon that hit the country, it's Typhoon Haiyan. I think that was in 2013, which killed thousands of people in that portion of the country. So we need to send people and equipment to the disaster area, particularly in the eastern Visayas. We call it the eastern Visayas area of the country. So we would be mobilizing the country, the equipment from the northern part, which is in Luzon, and from the southern part, which is in Mindanao. So imagine hundreds of equipment being mobilized from 300 kilometers, inter-island movement, both from the south side, which is in the Mindanao Island, and the north side, which is in the Luzon Island, meeting and converging at the area where Typhoon Haiyan heavily hit. So the people, the resources, the mobilization, the logistics, we managed, and we were able to hurdle the requirements so that we could make all the roads passable again, so that relief operations could start, and sadly move dead people to their rightful places. That's one example. And another example, prior to the pandemic, I don't know if you have seen in the news the explosion of one of the most active volcanoes in the Philippines, which is Tal Volcano. As soon as the volcano erupted, the Bureau of Equipment and the rest of the equipment organization of the DPWH were the first responders to the area. So what we did was provide equipment, and as soon as we get to the area, we the task that we did is moving the people out from the danger area. When we say the danger area, areas near the volcano. So we are moving people, we're moving even animals to safer areas. So while doing that, another contingent made road clearing operations to pave the way for other rescue operations. So we, as I always told our people, we would be the last responder. And at the same time, we will be the last people to move out of any danger area. So imagine how risky and how dangerous the work of the equipment organization. Another is even before a typhoon comes, we're already in the area, waiting for the typhoon, experiencing the typhoon, and the last organization to move out if there would be havoc brought about by the typhoon. So imagine the complicated task of the equipment organization.
Well, the stories also just highlight how critical a role fleet plays
Yep.
in not only an organisation but in a country. Look, it's been fantastic to see you here at the Australian Conference, but I can't help but wonder how different, big, dry continent that Australia is compared to the Philippines, which is 7,000 islands. So I'm just wondering, what can you learn from Australia to help your fleet practices?
If I remember it right, 3 years before the pandemic, I've learned a lot from the IPWEA fleet conference. One of them is establishing benchmarks or KPIs, since we're still at the baby stage of implementing fleet management during that time. So the Australian model provided us ideas, provided us models that somehow we can emulate and use as reference in building our own. So I would say the IPWEA paved the way for us to become a mature organization for fleet management. Another thing is the presentation, the topics being presented in this conference, I would say, ever since it started, contain simple ideas that you can learn a lot. I would say it's just a common sense, but for us, we were able to build from that common sense to establish a mature and a growing fleet management model in our organization. So I would say the Australia through the IPWEA helped our organization to where and what we are right now.
Oh, what a wonderful story. Noel, thank you very much for coming on our podcast today. Really appreciate it. Lovely to talk to you.
It's our pleasure, and it's a great opportunity to share what we have and at the same time learn from Australia.
You've been listening to Fleet News Group podcast. It was edited and produced by Isabella Fiorentino. You can follow us on Spotify. Just search for Fleet News Group. We're also on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Our website is fleetnewsgroup.com, where you can get all of our stories, videos and podcasts. Until next time, drive safely and take care.